What is up, homies? Welcome back to another trailer reaction from Heroes Reforged. We're reacting to the brand new trailer for Beetlejuice. Not quite yet. Not that many yet. They'll save that for the third one.
I was waiting for that last one.
If you want to see the uncut reactions for all the shows and movies that we are watching, check them out on our Patreon link down below. We're in the middle of doing Deadpool, Deadpool 2. We just did Twister and Twisters, a review of that on our Chexicans podcast. In anticipation of Beetlejuice, it is very likely that we will go back and watch the original Beetlejuice before we dive into this one. And I think that will be a lot of fun. Coming soon, we'll be doing watch-alongs or rewatches of Alien and Aliens in anticipation for Alien Romulus. If you see a pattern, you'll notice that as movies come out, we're gonna rewatch some stuff. So if you want to see all those uncut reactions, check them out on Patreon. They're a really fun time. We reacted to, I believe it was the teaser trailer, but I don't think we did the previous trailer that was in between those two. So I ended up eventually watching that trailer and I did really like it. Kind of just hoping for more of the same here, and I'm hoping that with now having 3 trailers that we're not giving too much of the movie away, but I want to stay optimistic, I guess.
I missed that second one, or the first one technically, I guess, because watching stuff on YouTube has, for the last 10 years, has changed my life completely. So I don't watch trailers if it's not with you guys.
We've traumatized you.
Yeah, we've traumatized. So like, I just haven't seen it. So I guess we could count this one as being the first trailer that I watched that's not a teaser.
There you go.
But I liked it. I'm excited. It looks pretty good. Let's see what this one's gotta say.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Alleged mom?
When you're all driving carpool and banging your Pilates instructors to fill the empty voids
Oh my
in your
God.
life, we'll see who gets the last laugh.
Sheesh.
My mom grew up here, that old house on the hill.
Wait, the ghost house? Is your mom Lydia Deetz?
Unfortunately.
She's a legend.
Whoa.
Don't you dare disrespect Winona Ryder like that.
I know.
Can they coexist?
Now's my chance.
Oh my God.
Ghosts aren't real. Only gullible people believe that kind of crap.
Oh wow.
I can't believe I'm doing this. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Oh,
Yeah, that's cool.
No.
That's pretty rad.
I need you to help me save my daughter. But how do I know that you're gonna keep your word?
I swear on my dead mother's soul.
Stupid.
Nice.
Bob, you and the boys stand guard. Nobody gets through.
My God. That voodoo, that like witch doctor shrink everyone's head. My God.
Recognize this puss. Never seen that chick before in my life. Or Afterlife.
Oh my
Doing
God.
this?
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. I'm needed upstairs. Bob, hold down the fort. Spill your guts. Who wants to go first? All right, I will.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Stupid.
That's funny.
From my dream. Really more nightmare material.
Oh yes, a musical number? Great.
It's gonna be a musical number. Yeah.
There's nothing harder.
What the f? Thank you all for coming to this special occasion, but right now with like a little privacy.
Whoa. Nice.
Jesus God.
That looks wild.
It does. The first thing that I notice, and this is obviously just with the advancement of technology, the picture quality is so clean.
Yeah, I mean, it's very different from the film, you know, the way it was filmed back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And this can kind of go back to the discussion we had on the Chexicans podcast about that magic sauce that happened. I feel Beetlejuice is one of those movies that has that sauce. Adam, do you feel like that is a component here? You feel like it's either missing? Is there something that you're looking for? Or do you feel like this movie kind of has it visually right now?
That's a really good question. Well, I think from the teaser trailer that we saw in this trailer, I don't know if it fully has that sauce yet. I feel like because the image is so pristine looking that it does kind of take away from that, like, I don't know, it's that texture, for whatever that texture is, and I mean beyond the film grain. It's just the image that film produces versus digital. It's just a little bit different. Like all the colors like roll off differently, highlights and shadows roll off differently. You know, film, for the most part, like you have a much bigger opportunity on film to recover highlights than you do shadows. With digital, it's kind of different. It's the opposite. Digital, you can push the shadows pretty far, and the image usually never gets too dark. Obviously now we have more advanced coloring technology, so that's changed. But even something like Twisters that was shot on film, there's moments where shadows that obscure kind of everything because it just kind of falls into darkness. Whereas this, it's lit from 0 to 1. Like if 0 is black and 1 is white, every color in between and every shadow detail in between is lit to some extent. So I think that's also part of the thing for me is like the stuff that Tim Burton did, obviously in the 80s, 90s before digital technology, because he usually has such a darker color palette, all of like the darks kind of blend together at one point. And with this, it's a very fine-tuned image where you can see all the details. And I don't know if that necessarily takes away from like the sauce. I do think that one thing that the movie has going for it, it looks like they're using obviously a ton of digital technology because now they have kind of a limitless palette to work with. But also it does look like they're trying to implement stop motion, or at least make the effects look like it fits in the world of that movie when it came out in 1988. So yeah, whether it's going to have all the sauce, I don't know. It's also been so long since the first film, but I obviously hope it does because I love that first movie so much. And I know I'm already putting too many expectations on the movie and I'm bringing too much personal investment into this movie, but I can't help it. I just love that first movie so much. So I really hope that it doesn't even have to exceed the first movie.
No, you love Beetlejuice? I didn't know. I know how much you love this movie. Yeah. And that's why I wanted to react with you to this, because I feel like they're doing a really good job actually with carrying over kind of like, I think the things that I felt like I loved with the movie, because I love the movie too. And part of the movie is obviously the practical effects. But I also think it's the silliness of it. Like Beetlejuice is a silly franchise, right? And I think that is super important to have in something like this. I think the visual gags, I think we're in a different place with filming, right? I haven't seen as many funny movies be as visually filled with gags as they were back in the day. And it feels like this is kind of going back to that a little bit, like just exaggerated faces like in The Mask, and just weird practical puppet demon monster ghoul thingies that are popping up here. I hope the musical number is fun. Like I hope it's paying enough reverence to the movie as it was, but also presenting some other really cool things that, you know, we have the opportunity now that we have this great technology and basically limitless potential in what could be on screen. And I also think that could work to its detriment too, though. So, you know, I'm coming in with cautious optimism that they found that good little middle ground. One thing that, I don't know if it's a small detail, but at the beginning of the trailer, they put the old school Geffen logo.
I noticed that too.
It's kind of like, it's not like high def. It's not like perfectly redone. It's the old school logo. And you can tell, and I'm just like, okay, that's nice. Like,
it looks like it came off like the 4K remaster of Beetlejuice or something.
Right, exactly. They didn't go and like redo it. They were just like, use the old logo, touch it up a little bit, we're good to go. Totally. And so if that's any indication of like their ideas and their methods of going into this movie, then I think that's great. Another thing that I love too is that I watched the animated show growing up, and a lot of the animated show growing up was Lydia going into Beetlejuice's world and navigating the sand dunes and running into a bunch of crazy stuff. And I feel like that's what this movie is going to do as well. Whereas the first movie was a lot in the real world, like a lot in the house.
Totally.
I want to explore Beetlejuice's world. I want to see the sandworm. I want to see him panic when the sandworm comes around. Like all that stuff. All that stuff is really good. So I don't know, man. I think it looks promising. I think it looks good.
Yeah, I agree. And you know, I just literally thought of this on the spot, but I almost kind of feel like Beetlejuice should continue to be the same way he was. I don't necessarily want them to try to like modernize Beetlejuice in the sense that he has kind of advanced with time. I think he should still kind of be inappropriate, kind of really raunchy. Like the character that comes to mind is Johnny Lawrence from Cobra Kai. Johnny Lawrence is still stuck in the 80s, but it works so incredibly well. And I feel like it really works for the story of Cobra Kai. I think if they would have modernized every single character, it makes sense to have Daniel LaRusso be a man of modern day, because he has kind of advanced, he's kind of aged up, he's matured. Johnny Lawrence is pretty much like we come to find out that he's got a lot of heart over the course of the series, but he kind of is still stuck in the 80s. You know, he's drinking Coronas, he
peaked in high school.
He peaked in high school and he's still being mischievous. And I want Beetlejuice to kind of remain the same way too. I don't want them to try to like change him too much, because then I feel like it might take away from the charm of that original movie, and it might take a charm away from the character where everyone around him is going like, you really like, you're just as disgusting as you were 40 years ago. And you know, it's like, well, he's been dead for how long? He's been dead for hundreds of years. He's going to continue being disgusting as he has been from the moment that he died. I have a lot of faith that if they do that, they will still keep it appropriate. Like they're never going to do anything that is outside of what the character would have done, whether it was in the first movie or a sequel. But absolutely. It kind of leans into what you're saying about the gags and the jokes and him kind of being this like mischievous creature of the dead. And I love that so much about Beetlejuice. And I think that's what kind of makes him fun. And I think that's why, even though he's only in the movie, the original film, for 15 minutes, he has such a lasting impact, is because he's so wild, he's so unpredictable, you don't know what he's going to do. And like you're saying, it seems like they're trying to lean into that a bit when he tells them, hey, all right, who's going to spill their guts first? And he literally just spills his guts. That type of absolutely crazy, bonkers shit. Now they have so many more toys to play with because they clearly have more money. They clearly have more resources at their disposal. But like you're saying, is it going to be an advantage for the film, or is it going to be a hindrance in some ways because we're sacrificing some of the story elements for visual gags? And let's be honest, like Beetlejuice does not have the most complicated story, but you're intrigued by it visually and audibly and by the characters the moment that movie starts. The movie opens, you are sucked in more and more and more and more intrigued. So I do hope that this movie can do that, just to reintroduce old audiences to the world of Beetlejuice, because while there are a lot of fans, of course, there are also a ton of people who in the last 35, 40 years have not watched this movie every year like some of us have. But then you also need to try to find, the new fans to bring in. And obviously they're using Jenna Ortega for that as like the vehicle to bring in new people. They're using a lot of the people who worked on Wednesday, which was an enormous hit. So I'm hoping that all of those elements and all of that Beetlejuice fandom and all that love will come in, and hopefully that Tim Burton is able to deliver, something that at least meets some expectations. It doesn't have to exceed all of them, because I think that's really unrealistic. But I think if it's as good as the first film, it doesn't need to be better, doesn't need to blow it out of the water, but it needs to live side by side with Beetlejuice as just a really solid two-parter, then I think it does its job. So I want to be optimistic, and I think the slight part of me being a little, not pessimistic, but maybe cautious, is I haven't loved everything that Tim Burton has done in the last 10 years, 10, 15 years. There's a lot of hit and misses. I have liked the stuff that I've seen from Wednesday, but I know he didn't direct all of Wednesday. I am going into it knowing that this is modern day Tim Burton from the 2020s. It's a very different Tim Burton from the 80s and 90s. I would hope that they wouldn't go into something like this, which they've talked about at length, how they were constantly looking for the right story. So it seems like if all of those things come together and it's all done with the greatest intentions, then that's all I can ask for. And hopefully the movie is great.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah, I think they're, like I said, I feel like they're on that track. This trailer was really well put together. It looks like everybody's just kind of giving it their all. Hopefully they had fun on set, and hopefully the story kind of reflects that. But yeah, man, fingers crossed for this one, because it looks good.
Yeah, we will see. It's very close. It's only 2 months away, so I'm very excited to revisit the first film and then eventually get to this one, and I hope it's great. I think this will be an IMAX one for me for sure. It seems like it will lend itself to that big screen and that sound system very nicely, so I'm looking forward to it. But of course, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think about this official trailer for Beetlejuice? Are you hopeful? Are you optimistic? Or are you maybe not so excited about this sequel? Let us know all your thoughts in the comments below. Check out all the unwatched stuff on our Patreon, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.